Battlefield 6 has a solid possibility of shadow dropping its Battle Royale, currently rumored to be named RedSec, in the next 2 days' time, but officially speaking, we've heard next to nothing on it, other than the fact that it was teased at the multiplayer reveal and that testing would come to Battlefield Labs. Both of those things announced, but nothing further until a Season 1 preview from DICE and a community update a few days back. But that said, there have been leaks aplenty, so today I want to take a look at everything that we've seen thus far that you should know of in preparation for this potential launch in just a few days. So let's use this as a jumping off point. We can come back in a few days, see what was right of leaks, wrong, and everything in between. Drop your thoughts, drop a like, and make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all things Battlefield 6 as Season 1 is right around the corner, as well as a ton of other FPS content with Arc Raiders launching this upcoming week as well, along with even more. It's about to be the busiest week in the channel's history, so I'd love to have you in the community as we chase down 700,000 subscribers together. But anyways, let's get into it. So we've recently been hearing about RedSec. Up until a few days ago, we didn't have a project name for what was supposedly the Battlefield 6 Battle Royale, but per recent reports, we've seen that Modern Warzone has been talking about the free-to-play Battlefield 6 Battle Royale is officially named Battlefield RedSec, releasing October 28th as previously reported. However, it looks like there won't be any trailers or official announcements until the 28th itself instead of the day before. Full-on shadow drop. He also additionally recently put out information saying that we're going to have duos and squads, 2s and 4s as your squads that you can queue into as the only team size available at launch for Battlefield 6's Battle Royale or RedSec. So 100 players total with 25 teams of 4 and 50 teams of 2, depending on which playlist you end up going into. Now that in particular, I wouldn't take too much issue with. That was something that if you guys remember even back to like Warzone, that only launched as trios only, and then we ended up seeing everything from solos up to quads progressively being rolled out. So I feel like it's probably just like the launch day and then a couple of days later, we'll see more even added in. But beyond that, we have heard a little bit before jumping into gameplay details that this will be the free-to-play version of Battlefield 6. So something that is new in that regard as well, mimicking Warzone's jumping off point for Call of Duty, but with Battlefield, a secondary free-to-play offering that is in efforts to bring more players to the franchise and thus the premium full experience, offering a slice of the gunplay and mechanics, what they feel like, and then drawing more players into the full experience you and I have been playing since launch. So offering a new gameplay experience in a still popular genre in attempts to basically be a recruiting tool for the core experience. But on a final, non-leaked note, DICE did mention recently learnings from labs that pertain to the full project. In the most recent community update, strangely, they outright detailed changes coming to BR from labs and that test experience, stating, "We have updates on the Battle Royale mode following the suggestions we've received during our play sessions. Your Battlefield Labs feedback has helped us fine-tune key elements for this experience. Here's a quick look at what changes you may notice the next time you play. Close range TTK, we've adjusted the time to kill at close range for all weapons to reward clean positioning and tracking while giving players more time to counter attacks. We'll keep monitoring this once it's live. Armor changes. Everyone will now have the capacity for 2 armor plates at the start of the game. All players will spawn with 1 plate, so you'll have the chance to upgrade as soon as you start looting, giving everyone an equal chance at upgrading their armor fully. World improvements. We've been fixing pesky world bugs and optimizing areas to improve the environment. With these improvements, we made adjustments to the lighting as well as enhancing the visibility across the map. And vehicle balance. They've adjusted the balance for helicopters and combat vehicles to keep them as a powerful tool showing off Battlefield's core DNA without making them necessary to survive or win the late game. This includes significant adjustments to the heli countermeasures and ammo economy. We've also been working on providing smoother performance overall. We've identified and addressed a range of issues that affected performance that we simply could not have done without our players' involvement in these tests." So before we jump into leaks about gameplay and everything further, it is still, I think, strange that while we don't know officially that this will be launching on Tuesday, it is strange that they mention, here's a quick look at the changes you may notice the next time you play, which could be directed at just those involved within Battlefield Labs, but they've temporarily disabled labs and paused any further testing with no sort of backstop on when that will pick back up. So to say all that kind of stuff and say when you next play, you know, might be pointing towards that actually being the case here with the shadow drop with Season 1. But anyways, what about gameplay? We can talk about theory, we can talk about these changes detailed from DICE themselves, but what kind of stuff should we expect from the gameplay if it does indeed launch on Tuesday? So far, we've seen some gameplay leak from Battlefield Labs. We've seen stuff data mined from resident Battlefield data miner Temporeal. So let's go over all of this. Starting with some more recent leaks here and some stuff from Battlefield Labs itself. According to Bob Network UK, a leaker who was in Battlefield Labs in the testing for BR, some general combat stuff. Of course, everyone has those armor plates. You now have the capacity for up to 2. Previously, you had to find an upgrade for a second plate slot. The time to kill apparently seems fast, but is mitigated by weapon inaccuracy and the recoil, the things that we deal with right now in a regular basis for the multiplayer experience. Plus, adding armor on top of that, you apparently get 1 free redeploy per player. Then you have to capture a beacon of sorts to redeploy teammates. This marks you on the map, so it is a risk-reward thing to try and get your teammates back. It seems like you are guaranteed 1 redeploy with no gulag, so no way to actually like fight your way back in like other games out there. Then any death after that requires that redeploy. So while you have 1 freebie, you should probably make it worthwhile. Weaponry, apparently from infill footage, you can end up potentially choosing your pistol that you drop in with. Then, as for like any sort of loadouts, a big question mark for the Battle Royale community when we see this in general. Apparently you can choose 1 weapon package at a time here. This being a sort of middle ground between what Warzone introduced with loadouts that kind of takes away the importance of looting and finding anything in world, having that random chance that BR was built on, but also giving you the ability to have some control with that. So kind of the middle ground between those experiences, but those weapons you can choose from also come along with attachments and weapon rarities. The Battle Royale apparently has upgrade kits to upgrade the rarity of your floor loot guns. When consuming those items, it will ask you to choose between upgrades of either accuracy or capacity. So upgrading the accuracy statistics of it or the magazine capacity seemingly. Loot, from what we saw from gameplay that leaked, there were class chests that would drop items that are useful for your equipped class, i.e. weapon proficiencies, gadgets for whatever class you have tailored to you. There were apparently XP pickups, but those weren't necessarily ever expanded upon too much here, likely pertaining to any sort of class upgrades you get, just like you do progressively throughout the multiplayer experience. And apparently there are special safes around the world that you can only open with the engineer repair tool. Contracts, there have been quite a few listed and leaked, but from the footage that we ended up seeing leak out of the Battlefield Labs testing, there was one that was explicitly of detonating an MCOM explosive that, when destroying that, rewarded gear like vests and grenades. There are vehicle containers found around the world, similar to Firestorm and the vaults, where you have tanks inside. It looked to take around 45 seconds to open that container up, so definitely an ambush point, especially the ones that I ended up seeing footage of. They were like in the middle of open streets, so not really any cover that you could end up getting, so it was a definite high risk, high reward. There were vehicle repair stations allowing you to get health and ammo back on those tanks and other vehicles, but the nice part is that it seems like these are relatively easy to take out with a concentrated effort. Like, there is a sequence where a lone RPG of the tank takes it down to about 40% health, meaning that with a bit of coordination, I don't think this will be too problematic for a team to take out a tank. Also really makes things like having an engineer much more vital. Additional information that we saw from footage, there was floating loot off of dead bodies, no bag that you had to go into and open up like a sub menu to end up looting in those real-time moments. There was a lot of destruction, naturally, which is definitely really cool, that you can take this environment, this world that we have in the Battlefield 6 experience, play it with 100 players, and then just destroy everything. If somebody's camping, they have an angle on you, just blow that sucker up, dude. I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of plays this can dictate in the overall gameplay experience once it's out for everybody, because I'm assuming there's going to be some cool things that can happen. And then match length, it seemed like matches could last around 20-ish minutes in full, but nothing was guaranteed from the footage that we had seen leak out just yet. I'm sure that there is footage that I've probably missed that does showcase a match from the very beginning to the very end, but it seemed like, based off the estimations of how much time was around for the zones and things, that it was around the 20-minute mark. But additionally, coming from Datamined Temporal, there were actually a decent bit of some gameplay features and mechanics that were leaked a long time ago that I'm very interested to see how these work out if they do come to the full version of the game, where you have that, of course, second chance mechanic, which is definitely nice. The biggest one, though, was apparently the oversight system. Truth be told, I don't know that I've seen any footage of this, but again, I'm sure it's probably out there. But the oversight system for RedSec apparently will allow players to interact with their squad even when dead. This would allow players to have control of things like cameras, drones, turrets, and more to give information, kind of being like an eye in the sky type of thing for your teammates that are still alive. So that will be something that will be an interesting mechanic to allow players to still be engaged with the game, but also I'm curious to see just how balanced that is if it does come to the full version of RedSec. but we'll have to wait and see. And then finally, there was a shakedown mechanic, which apparently just appears to be the interrogation feature from Warzone in the past, where instead of immediately finishing an enemy, it will mark their squad mates for you on the map, so giving you a bit more information and a way to sort of interrogate them and inadvertently sell out their friends. But anyways, there's been a lot that we've heard about with the Battle Royale experience, but again, it could be as early as 2 days away at this point. Like in 48 hours time, we could all be playing RedSec. That's kind of crazy to consider when we have not really heard anything officially outside, again, those like 3 mentions of it that are just kind of strange. But I wanted to fill you guys in here and give a bit more of a last second update for what you could be seeing in just a short bit of time. So let me know your thoughts down below. Is there anything in particular you guys are looking forward to out of the Battle Royale? Anything that not so much? Let me know. But if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor, drop a like on it. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so don't miss a single thing regarding all things Battlefield 6, RedSec, Arc Raiders later this week as well. I'd love to have you in the community for all of that. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.